Welcome back to another episode of the Junk Monkeys podcast.
Wow.
I am your host, Randy McLeod, joined by my good friend, Daniel Mosionier.
Hello.
We're keeping it pretty low-key today. Today, we're doing something a little different, and I've decided to kind of call it the Creative Showcase, where Dan and I are going to showcase our music, our writing. Not our. Dan's going to showcase his music. I'm going to showcase my writing.
You're showing me your music today?
I am, yeah.
Oh, Extremity?
You betcha.
Remember that?
I do. It was terrible.
I thought it went hard.
Thanks. But yeah, we're gonna be doing that for about an hour-ish. We'll see. We're gonna talk about we're gonna read our story, or I'm gonna read my stories. Dan's gonna play his music, and we're gonna talk about the process and what our thoughts are on the piece, looking back on them, and as well as just some insights into how we make our stuff. So
We have some ulterior topics too.
yeah, totally. All about the creativity today.
Yes.
So without further ado, stick around for this episode of the Junk Monkeys podcast. You know what always pops in my head?
Huh.
Whenever I'd take that pause,
Yeah.
I just think of either that really shitty music that you once played for that, that one, that terrible. And it's that.
What do you mean? Android Sock Hop?
It was it's that in the Nyan Cat music.
No, I know what you mean.
Okay.
I'm just saying, do you want to do Nyan Cat
No, I
as
don't.
an intro one of these days?
Someday.
For the next Just Chatting episode.
When we do the Let's Play of Nyan Cat on our phones.
Let's Play? There was a game?
Yeah. That was an iOS game.
What the fuck? I didn't know. No, it was a full-fledged AAA console exclusive.
Yeah, EA.
PS exclusive.
Absolutely.
It bombed hard.
It didn't do well.
They sold
PS5 launch title.
4 PS5 launch title. Nyan Cat.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
My fucking God.
I'm kind of nervous, but I'm also kind of excited to do this. This is something I kind of pitched to Dan a week ago.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I'm sorry.
And we kind of were just talking about wouldn't this be cool? It's yeah, sure. And then I ran out of ideas for the podcast this week, and I was like, all right, we're gonna do this.
Yeah, Randy messaged me, and he was like, "Hey, I got this cool idea. We could do this creative showcase. We could talk about your music, my writing. What do you think?" And I was like, "That sounds great." He goes, "Cool." He's like, "I'll put that in the back pocket. That'll be a future episode." Next day, he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to do that this week," and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, running out of time, Dan.
No, we have plenty of time until the end.
Yeah, we do.
We record these months in advance, so
Absolutely. Yeah.
gaslight the audience.
This one won't go out till what?
Fucking
Oh, yeah, I
September.
guess we're recording this in January.
December of last year.
Yeah, we're super ahead of the game. We are.
That's why we never miss uploads.
Yeah, never.
The face Randy just made. Ugh.
Except when we all got COVID.
All of two of us.
Yeah.
That shit sucked.
That was terrible. But anyway, so as I said in the intro, I'm gonna start with a short piece that I wrote, and then Dan's gonna play some of his music,
and we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna chat about it
while it's playing.
Yeah.
But
So
Rand's gonna start.
I think it'd be fun.
I think it's gonna be great.
So-
It's odd only having two people in the booth.
Yeah, it's very intimate. It's like, hey, Dan,
All right.
you and I are chatting it up.
It's not the word I would have used. I mean, you're 100% right.
I'm right, but it's a little weird.
Being in a closed space with you and you being like, yeah, it's intimate in here. But
I'm gonna just step out for a bit.
open the door real quick.
Russ?
Help.
So some context for my first piece. I've never read this out loud. This was
Have I read this?
I don't think you have. This is
Okay.
called Star Surfers.
I have read this.
Have you?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I must have sent it
Long
to you
time ago on Discord, yeah.
Yeah.
like
I
this
haven't
piece.
edited it since. Usually when I make a piece, it is once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
I just leave it. So for context, this was a piece that I wrote for my first creative writing, one of my first creative writing courses. It was short fiction writing at Brandon University. So
Randy University?
Randy University?
Wow, they named the university after you.
Crazy. Made a real big impression.
Apparently, holy fuck.
But yeah, so I think this was just the first assignment was write a short story, which is I think it's 2 to 3 pages, under 1,000 words.
Under 1,000 words. Okay, that is short. That's very short.
Yeah. So I love playing around with it, and I'll talk about this afterwards, but I love playing around with such a constraint on what you're writing.
Because it challenges you.
Yeah, because you could go so long in the tooth, but with short stories, you really got to be hit your points as best and quickly as possible.
Well, because at that level of constriction with word count, the point is to get as much as you can across with as little words as you can.
Absolutely.
Like I write for the audience at home. I'm a writer too, but not like Randy is. But 1,000 words, that is short.
It is short.
That is very short.
I had to do it again this year, and I was like, man, like,
this sucks.
I need more words.
Yeah. Especially now that you're a better writer since then, and like you want to use more.
Mm-hmm. So, without further ado,
Ryan's gonna read a short story. I'm very excited.
Yeah, this is Star Surfers.
We have dramatic music.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine it? I asked. Not in our lifetime, of course. I'm sure it won't be. Let me try again. I'm so nervous about this for some reason. It's weird because I'm talking to you, but I'm also talking to the audience because I feel like
forget about them.
Yeah, sure.
Fuck you guys. I'll edit that out.
Thanks for listening.
Fuck you guys. Thanks for listening, by the way. Love you.
So you guys are the best.
Don't stop listening, please.
Okay, so this is Star Surfers. Let's just do a clean read. Could you imagine it? I asked. Not in our lifetime, of course. I'm sure it won't be even in our children's lifetime. But just think, someday, someone will have the same crazy thought. But they'll have the technology to act on it. They can make my fantasy a reality. I stopped to take a breath, excitement filling my bones. What if, Leo, sighed Frey, you can't surf space? It's scientifically impossible. Scientifically improbable, not yet impossible, my dear. Besides, I'm sure it was impossible to go to space in the first place all those years ago. But, and I'm not sure if you can believe this part, we did. Multiple times. She rolls her eyes. She grabs my hand and keeps me walking down the boardwalk. It's a cool night. They must be switching the weather over to autumn temperatures. Star Surfers. That's what we'll be called. We, being the brave surfer bros that dare to surf where no bro has surfed before, will be the future's adrenaline junkies. Just think, we could carve the solar winds, lay back on the rings of Saturn, or hang 10 through an asteroid belt. We could slingshot around a planet's gravitational pull. It could be a new way to surf. We'd be pioneers of the field. Space, the tubular frontier. I look over, but Frey is lost in her own thoughts. What's up? Don't you miss it? Is what they're offering really just as good? I question her with the raise of a singular eyebrow. What do you mean? I mean that we had great surfing. It was pure. Going for a morning session used to mean something. The chill you would get when you were running to the warmth of your towel laid on the sand. Sure, now we can surf any time of the day, in any type of weather we choose, but it's not the same. Frey's tearing up a bit. She loves the natural world more than anything. I think that's why she doesn't feel right here. She was able to see beauty in the little moments. My little moments were out on the water in the barrel of a wave, while her moments were reading on the beach, curling her toes in the sand, helping a baby sea turtle get flipped back onto its belly. You know how bees can see colors that the human eye can't? It's the same with Frey. No, not being the bee part. Those guys have been gone for decades. It's that she can see so much more beyond the surface of nature. They're on the same frequency, her and nature, harmonizing on a widely unknown note. I look at her and I start to get emotional. I never like seeing her cry. I'll start to cry, she'll see that I'm crying, then start to cry some more. It's a whole cycle. I stop myself, trying to hold it together. Instead, I stop our walking and hold her tight. Of course I miss it. God, I can still remember the first time Mom gave me my first boogie board. I was so wrinkled by the end of the day that I wasn't allowed to go anywhere near the water the next day. Naturally, I snuck away the following morning, board in hand. Frey giggled. I gripped her tighter, her head in my chest. It used to call to me, the water. I can't explain it very well, but I've always been seduced by it. They can't replicate that call here, but it's all we've got for a while. Maybe we'll get to go back before we get old. Frey's speaking softly now. What if we don't, though? What if we're stuck here until we die? What if the day after we die, the quarantine is over, and the world is open for business again? What then, Leo? I take her shoulders in my hands and look her in the eyes. We can't live our lives on what-ifs. We can't. We'll make do with what we have here. And if we die, we'll die knowing that we helped save the planet. We gave up our home so that it may be there for generations to come. She smiles, then wipes away a tear. Suddenly, her eyes light up. Leo, look. There she is. I turn around, already knowing what I'll see. Over the horizon of our enclosed dome, I can see her in all her natural beauty again. It looks like more green is coming back, she says, holding back tears. I don't notice the green, though. I'm called by the blue. And scene. Woo!
Yeah!
Woo!
I mean, obviously the audience can't see it, but every time there was something happening when you were reading that, I was like reacting with my whoa.
Yeah, I felt bad because I was like only looking at the page and not looking at you at all.
Well, I respect that.
Okay.
Not the bees.
Yeah, man.
They're fucking dead.
The bees are gone. That's always like post-apocalyptic. It's like the first thing to go.
Well, that's how you know you're effed.
Yeah.
Because the bees are gone.
We need them.
Oh, yeah.
even though I hate bees.
So what the heck? The bees are fine. You hate wasps.
I do hate I hate anything that can sting me. Anyway, that's besides the point. Man, reading that out loud, I have gotten better at writing because there's so many little things that I'm like, as I'm reading, I'm like, that's not how that should be.
Are you referencing this story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I think when I'm looking back on this, this is a piece that I'm extremely proud of because is that constraint thing we were talking about?
Yes.
Where I think I can elicit some sort of emotion from a reader from just 2 pages.
You've also done a good job of conveying information without using any exposition.
Yes.
Because nowhere in this story do you explicitly say, I guess you kind of, like, you get that these people are on a ship. They're returning to Earth, right? Because that's at the end of the story. They say, there she is. And I'm looking at the green, but I'm not looking at the green, I'm looking at the blue. And that ties back into the conversation where the character, the guy was talking about the water and the surfing. And so at no point do you explicitly say the Earth is effed. Yeah. Or that they're coming back.
And to be honest, that was a word limit. Yeah. Like constraint where I'm like.
But you still conveyed the information. Yeah. Without needing to explicitly say that.
That's something that kind of like I always hate when it's just over explaining things.
Well, that's exposition, right?
Yeah. Like to the point where I'm like, that's not really the point of the story. Yeah. The point of the story is like this naive guy, not naive. This guy that's kind of like he's not making sense. Like he's making up shit that sounds fun, and being very lighthearted about the situation. But it's a dark situation.
That's actually something I wanted to comment on. There's an air of this guy is sort of in, I don't want to say in denial, but he kind of is. Yeah. Because, well, just through your writing, he is, and the girl is much more open about her disagreements, her qualms that she has with the situation. Yeah. But the guy he's trying to be aloof, lighthearted, and keep the situation, keep tensions down. Yeah. But you can tell he's deluding himself into believing something that he doesn't. Yeah. And like, I think there's something to people, there are types of people who like to keep the status quo like as normal as possible in very not normal situations. Right. Like, and I think that's always extremely like helpful and useful. Yeah. However, there's always got to be like that voice of reason, that voice of reality. Yeah. You can't have everybody trying to pretend that the situation isn't the way it is. Yeah. Now, there's a difference between pretending the situation isn't the way it is and just trying to keep spirits up. Yeah. But that's not what he was doing, at least from my perception of the reading. Yeah, I don't know. So, like I said, I wrote this years ago, so it's tough to try and think back of what I was trying to, like, what everything was meant to be. But your perception of the piece can change. Yeah,
totally.
You just read it aloud, so has your perception changed? Not to derail what you were about to say.
Oh, no. Just to jump off of that, like, when I first wrote it, it's very much the idea that, counter to what you were thinking, they're not heading back to Earth. They are kind of like quarantining from Earth, and that humans need to get the fuck off Earth so that Earth can heal itself. Right. Because otherwise we're just going to keep destroying it. So they have to wait till there's like a level of like, oh, we're good now. Like the Earth is good enough that we can come back.
Like WALL-E.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I stole WALL-E.
Nah. So, but at the end they say, oh, look, there she is. Like they're surprised that they're seeing, and she is being the Earth, right? Yeah. So they're not coming back. Are they in?
No, they're kind of like
orbiting. Yeah. Ah, okay. Yeah, that's the other way I was kind of thinking. Mm-hmm. It kind of feels like that surprise as to like, wow, look, there she is. I mean, from the reason I would say that I expected it to be they're going back is because why would people orbiting an Earth be surprised at seeing the?
That's a great point. So, yeah.
But the alternative of their orbiting was my secondary thought, but it wasn't the primary one that the surprise made me feel like they were coming back. Yeah. But
yeah. I don't know what else to say about that piece. I remember reading it so basically the way that the class was set up was that this was part of a workshop. So you'd bring your piece, somebody else would read it for you, and then so you'd have a chance to listen to it.
Right, which is super important.
Yeah.
In writing, yeah, absolutely.
And then everybody kind of has their talking points afterwards, and like they comment on the piece.
Yeah, critique it.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember. So this was on Zoom. This was the first year of online classes, and my internet must have been kind of shitty. So my professor was like, kind of asking the class, like, did you get what was going on with the whole like not being on Earth situation? And I kind of butted in, but because I didn't butt in, but I was like, I thought he was asking me the question.
Yeah.
So I kind of went on to this like 5-minute rant talking about it and being like, yeah, I thought this was like, it was a really cool thing to do, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, afterwards, because he couldn't interrupt because I was kind of lagging.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, okay, Randy. So I was just going to be asking like the other students if they caught on to the idea.
Yeah.
Even though I completely spoiled the idea. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay, my bad. So that was kind of embarrassing.
But that just means you were passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very passionate about this piece.
Yeah.
And
it shows.
if I could go back and change a couple things, I would like, to be honest, I could just go in and edit it. But I also like having the pure copy.
Yeah.
To like compare it to something that I've written recently.
You can do both though.
Yeah.
You can just make a new copy.
Yeah.
I do that. I do that. Like, not necessarily making a new copy, but I, with my writing, I will preserve the old stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, it's still posted online, and then I can because we talked about this on the hobbies episode, but there is a significant advantage to going back and seeing your progression.
Yeah.
Because it becomes very when you dedicate a lot of time to a craft, writing or music or anything, being able to see your progression, and being able to quantify nowadays with dates on your files, how long it took you or how over the span of how long it took you to get better. Could just be good for your soul.
Absolutely.
Because you look back and you're like, wow, that sucked. Not your piece, just anything.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, that sucked. And then you go back, well, 2 years ago I sucked. And then a year ago I got better. And then today I'm sick.
Genuinely, like, the other day I went through Google Docs and Microsoft Office and, like, just downloaded everything I've written, like, essay-wise or assignment-wise or creative writing-wise. And, man, just, like, I used to write essays terribly. I would get good enough grades, but it wasn't, like... looking back on them, I'm like, Randy, what are you doing, bro? But you'd always have that perspective, no matter when you look back. You'd have that perspective looking back now. You're going to have that perspective looking back in 5 years. Yeah.
Now, the curve of how harsh you're going to be on yourself is probably going to plateau a little bit.
Absolutely.
Simply because as you get better at a craft, you slow down at how much you've mastered the craft.
Yeah.
But that perspective... it's super important to have.
Totally.
And I do that a lot with my music too. I save all my music to one big folder, my exports at least.
Yep.
So I have and it's sorted by date created. So I have an in-time list of all my music.
That is so cool.
Just straight in a row.
Man, isn't that crazy that we just have that like ability to like not time travel, but you know what I mean? Like access different time capsules.
You can go and just at the snap of a finger get a fresh perspective of what you were producing or creating or writing 3 years ago. And you can go, man, that sucked. But at the time, you thought it was great.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a big thing is that I don't want to say you never know how good or bad you are, but you don't because there's no real way unless you're like a professional to judge your work against anything other than itself.
Yeah.
And to get that perspective, you get that perspective with time is what I'm saying. And going back and looking back it's fun.
Yeah. I love it. I love doing that. Like I pulled down a box the other day of like old college scribblers even like from Red River College. And I was like,
a long time ago. Yeah.
And I was like, man, I used to write notes this way, you know, like it's crazy how much like my process of everything has changed over the years of like,
it was a different course though.
Yeah, totally. But I've very much come up with different ways to take in information from lectures and stuff like that to the point where I'm like, okay, so back then this was serviceable, but like it could have been better.
Yeah.
You know. So.
But everyone's adaptability like that is different.
Comes with time.
It comes
like
with time. Yes.
Or like you said.
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
would you like to play your first piece of music?
No.
Okay, cool.
Do your next writing piece.
No.
All right, I could play Watching the Stars with you. I have my exports folder pulled up here.
You
Here,
should.
Look, you can see what I'm talking about. This is my exports folder,
Yep.
and it's just in order.
Oh, that's
And it's
fantastic.
And if I go to the bar here, it's a lot.
Wow.
I have like over 400 exported pieces, I think, and that's not. I have way more project files.
Yeah.
Because I only export maybe nowadays. Maybe 1 in 10 pieces gets exported.
Oh, really?
So I have like probably close to 1,000 project files, and they're all individual
Wow.
songs. But
Do you have like, are those like saved on your computer?
absolutely,
Like,
they're
yeah.
saved right here. Actually,
Damn.
if I go to audio and then I go to FL for the audience at home, I'm on the laptop right now, and I go to my stuff folder. So it's actually I want to talk about this briefly.
Yeah, please.
When I started out with making my my file structure for FL Studio, which is the project, the software I use to write music, I just saved things into my. I called it my stuff folder, and it's literally just called stuff. And then eventually, after like maybe 15 or 20 pieces, I started getting better. So I made a folder called good stuff. Then maybe 15, 20, 30 pieces later, I got better. And I could go back and see I was getting better. So I was like, man, my stuff is way better than the stuff in good stuff right now. So I made great stuff.
Right.
And then
The evolution.
amazing stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then down here, oh no, I'm highlighting stuff. Spectacular stuff. Spectacular stuff. And it says Lamau. Spectacularist stuff. And godly stuff, and godly stuff says fucking what, LOL at the end of it. And then right now I'm in enlightened stuff.
Nice.
And it says, "K, this is getting wild, Lamau."
That's awesome, man.
I'm not literally trying to quantify.
No.
My abilities are not godly or enlightened. I keep the description, the adjective gets more and more.
Yeah.
Like what comes after enlightened?
Yeah.
Like dimension transcending
Transcendent,
stuff.
yeah.
Transcendent stuff. Yeah, that'll probably be next.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm in enlightened stuff now, and I guess I could play this song. It's called Cat That Just Chewed Your Bed. All right, it's called Watching the Stars with You, and it starts off with a bit of a piano piece, and then pizzicato strings come in, and then a bunch of strings come in. And I suppose as we're going, I could lower the volume, or we could pause it and we could talk about
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever you want to do.
Sure. Oh, if you want to comment, you could just
Okay.
raise your hand like you're in school.
Sure thing.
And I'll pause the music.
Mr. Mosionier.
This sucks. All right. Here is Watching the Stars with You. This is nerve-wracking.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. It's quiet. Randy would like to pause for a moment. There it goes. Is paused.
There's something in the background there. Like it's very subtle.
Yeah.
I can't name it, but there like if you can go back. Like,
I was gonna say I'll
seconds.
go back like 20 seconds or
Yeah.
something like that.
Sorry to interrupt.
No. That's the point of this.
Yeah.
This software sucks. All right, here we go. I'm playing it again.
Do in the background. Would that be a specific instrument? It's almost like violin. It's almost like strings.
It's pizzicato.
Oh, okay.
That's the strings when you pluck them with your finger.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's such a subtle but like
Well, here
genius touch.
I'll go back really quick.
Yeah.
And so it's not here,
Okay.
and it comes in in 2 measures. I sound so stupid. Here it comes. That's what you're talking about? Yeah. That's pizzicato. So that's an orchestra, because I have professional orchestral libraries.
Right.
So that's an orchestra, and they're plucking their strings with their fingers. The violins are this, and the cellos are this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
But it's just a little texture in the back. They're playing the same notes as the piano bass, that ascending line.
Yeah.
But it just adds a little bit of texture to the sound.
I was gonna say it adds kind of like this uplifting nature to the piece. I'm gonna keep listening.
But that has half to do with the fact that it's an uplifting progression. Here come the strings.
Oh, that is so good. That is so good.
Oh, thank you. Now I know what you mean by you didn't want to look at me when you were reading your piece.
Yeah, right.
I didn't want to look at you when we were listening to that.
No, the entire time I was listening to it, I was genuinely like doing that like
Randy,
that stank
Randy
face.
was making faces when the strings came in. Randy went like, "Oh."
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, "Stop."
Yeah, I know, because like,
but it's a positive thing though.
Totally.
But it's not weird, but it.
You don't want to see that positive thing like from your audience sometimes.
That's the thing. You do, but it's a double-edged sword. So. That's Watching the Stars with You.
Very well done.
Thank you.
Dude, I don't think I've heard that one before.
I've not sent that to you before.
Okay.
So. And that's a pretty new one. I wrote that last week. So
that's incredible.
Thank you.
Like, I was trying to place, I always like, whenever you send me music, I always try to place it with some other type of music that...
As everyone does.
And it's not a comparative thing. It's like, it's like this.
No, you're supposed to do that.
Yeah. And... when I was younger, I had a CD of the Super Mario Galaxy soundtrack.
Interesting.
And it's that was the first time they went orchestral with it. And like a lot of pieces had a lot of piano only. Working with piano and then like moving into strings and stuff like that.
It would change.
Yeah. And like, man, that is the highest compliment I can give to this piece. It's like you could slot that into one of the other songs on the soundtrack and be like, yeah, this is one of the pieces for like the observatory or something.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah, and something I noticed around 3/4 of the way through is that with the piano being such a dominant, like the beginning thing that we hear, at some point you don't even notice that it's kind of becoming background to the strings.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's not even the strings overpowering it. It's just like they're kind of taking turns.
Yeah. The piano becomes more of a textural thing for the. I'll just play a little bit.
Yeah, please.
Because here.
I love that.
Thanks. Thank you. I think this is the strings. Yeah. The piano and the pizzicato strings, the pluck strings, they dip in volume quite significantly here.
Yeah.
And the reason they're still there is rhythm.
Okay.
Because these big long strings so it's piano and pizzicato in the beginning, and then there's long orchestral strings, and then there's solo cello.
Okay.
And you can hear the solo cello. And the reason you keep the piano and the pizzicato is rhythm, because otherwise these strings are just big, long notes.
Right.
But if you didn't have the pizzicato, because you can hear bum, bum.
Yeah.
You need something. You can still keep the rhythm there.
Yeah.
So they fade away a little bit. They become more textural than anything, but they're there to keep the rhythm. because otherwise you lose the rhythm.
Odd question, but like, what do you mean by textural?
Well, different. That's here. I'm gonna.
I know it's a music theory.
No, no. So in music, that is a hard question.
Yeah.
It kind of just comes to me like. So have you ever heard of timbre?
Yes.
Timbre and texture in music in auditory things are kind of not the same, but they're interlinked in that. Oh God, it's that is a hard thing to describe. What is musical texture? It's just kind of a way to say that the texture of the piano in the beginning is it's a lot brighter and a lot more present.
Okay,
that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
Than it is if I jump forward in the piece. Now where's the piano?
Okay,
it's there.
Yeah.
But because it's behind the strings, you're losing a little bit more of the attack, which is the start of the note. Yeah. And you're just sort of getting the reverb of the piano, which means I would describe that as the texture of the piano has changed from an upfront and present thing guiding you through the piece to more of a rhythmically textural piece in the back. Because it's still there.
That is so interesting.
It's just different.
Like, I genuinely know nothing about music theory-wise.
Yeah.
So, like...
You took band with me for like 3 years.
Yeah, and I absolutely played the hell out of my saxophone, but it doesn't mean I learned anything.
No, we didn't do music theory at all.
No.
You were good at saxophone, though.
I like playing
that sounded great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it hasn't changed. But with the introduction of other sounds and instruments, it takes on a different role.
Yeah.
In the piece.
And that's so cool, because that's, like... With a lot of music, especially like the popular bangers, you know what I mean? Like,
the pop bangers,
they're bad. Like,
all right, well,
some of them aren't great. Some of them
like
are
top
like
40 stuff.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like manufactured
Sure.
music, where it's just like to the point where it's like we're trying to hit a point where we need to stream this on TikTok or Spotify as much as possible.
Formulaic.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you. It doesn't evolve. The piece doesn't really evolve in a way that's satisfying.
Well,
this evolves.
Thank you. People who listen to top 40 music don't want their music to evolve.
That's true. Yeah.
There's that's generalization. Obviously, if you listen to there's nothing wrong with top 40 listening. I respect all music, but it's not for me because it is a lot of the same.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that top 40 music, pop music, it's all the same. No, I'm not going to say that's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember Feel It Still?
I don't think so.
You'd know it if I played it.
Sure.
But
copyright.
Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now.
Yes. Okay. Sorry.
That song was a top 40 song. That was the top chart topper.
Yeah.
That was so cool because it was different.
It was doing something different.
It was
absolutely.
very different. So, but music that's just formulaic, that is just to top charts
and
not a super huge fan.
And I don't want to be like. And that's not exactly what I'm saying. And like, I'm not being like, man, yeah, your music is better than this. I hate doing that. I hate it when, especially in writing, for our workshops sometimes. People would be like, well, it's not as good, because there would be 2 workshops a night. And it'd be like, well, it's not as good as the person that just went. It's like, don't do that. Don't ever do that.
It's a completely different thing.
Absolutely.
Like imagine trying to compare my music to top 40 music. Like, what the That's not even close to the same
You can't
thing.
do that.
No.
Like, it doesn't make sense. That's the thing about, like, creative arts, is that we're all just making something. And then it can be comparative, sure. Like, I did compare yours to, like, the Super Mario Galaxy soundtrack.
But that's because it reminded you of
exactly.
something.
Yeah. Reminding is different than comparing.
Exactly.
Yeah. I would love to ask.
Yeah.
What's...
No.
Okay. End of podcast.
End of podcast, yeah.
We should get credits.
Just be you and me.
Yeah.
That's not true.
What's the process? First of all, what's your motivation to start a piece?
Right.
And then basically take me from start to finish. Like, what's going through your mind of like, how do you do it? How do you do it?
Okay. So there's a very specific set of circumstances under which I will write music.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens frequently because I like writing music, but I cannot, for the life of me, and I bet you can relate to this, I cannot for the life of me sit down with the intention of writing music.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I can't go, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write a piece of music now. Not going to happen. I can't go from nothing. I can go from nothing to something because I have the theory knowledge that lets me slap down pizzicato strings and long strings and then just do a 1-5-6-4 in the key of C, and then that'll sound good because it's theoretically good. But there's no passion there.
No.
And that's the thing for me. There has to be a creative spark. So either I'll hear something, I'll hear another song, or I'll hear, that's usually how it starts, is I'll hear another piece of music and then I'll go, oh, that chord progression was cool. Oh, that instrument was kind of cool. Or I'll hear, I prowl around websites where that people are talking about and posting things about synthesis or orchestral sampling, and people will be posting their stuff and they'll be like, what do you think of this? And I'll listen to it and I'll springboard off of that. So there has to be a creative spark there.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you can relate to as a creative.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, it depends on how strong the spark is, but the spark that I got for this piece, Watching the Stars with You, which is just an arbitrary name, it was really strong. And the entirety of this piece, which is 2 minutes and 55 seconds, at least right now,
yeah,
it was all flow state. The whole thing.
Hell yeah.
It took me a couple hours to write.
Mm-hmm.
And most of it was just getting the fucking strings to sound right.
Okay. Because
strings are tough. But it started with piano. It started with this piano.
Yeah.
And that specific, actually, that's kind of interesting. That it's that specific note that really set off this piece.
Okay.
Because I can find creative sparks while I'm writing something.
Yes.
I had gotten a creative spark. You can relate, right?
100%.
You'll get a creative spark. You'll start writing, and then you'll go, "Oh, what if I did this?"
Absolutely.
And then exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So the light bulb moment for this piece wasn't the initial creative spark. I started writing this. I was like, "That's pretty," but then this note, right? That note.
Oh.
It was different enough to the point where I was like, "Oh, I should like shape the entire piece around that." That singular note sparked the whole rest of the piece. And from there, once I had the piano down, which is just this part, it's really actually not that complicated. Because when the pizzicato strings come in, they're just playing the same thing the piano is.
Okay.
But because they're so texturally different than the piano, the sound completely changes.
Yeah.
And then the long strings are literally just playing. If you took the arpeggio of what the piano is playing and just made them a chord,
yeah,
that's what the strings are playing.
Okay.
So the chords that the strings are playing are actually theoretically identical,
yeah,
to what the piano is playing.
Yeah.
It's just they're playing them as long sounds, and the piano is playing arpeggiated notes.
That's so cool, man.
So from a theory perspective, this piece is actually very simple. It's only 4 chords.
Yeah.
But it's the augmentation of the melody line and the introduction of long strings and solo cello that really changed the piece. The solo cello was actually an afterthought.
Okay.
I had the strings done, and it was piano, pizzicato, and long strings. And then I was writing, and I was like, I wonder if solo cello would sound good here. So I threw on solo cello, just a solo cellist, added a whole bunch of reverb.
Yep.
And the birth was this sound. And it's pretty good, I guess.
This is magical, bro.
Thank you.
Like, hearing you walk me through this piece of music as I'm listening to the music, genuinely, like,
it's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because you never get that perspective.
No. You always just have to sit, like, especially if you're at a concert, right?
Yeah. How often do you talk with the musician that wrote the piece about the piece of music?
Never.
Because you're streaming stuff. But,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of like a director's commentary.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
Or like getting to dissect the piece of writing after you've done it. So
yeah.
It's a different perspective, and I really like it.
I love you talking about finding that spark.
Yes.
I like how you need the spark to get it going.
Yeah.
But then the spark in between, like as you're writing it.
Yeah.
Because
it's not like you get the initial creative spark and it starts the fire that gets you writing or writing music or writing words,
sure.
a story.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
But then as you're doing it, you get another spark over there. I'm pointing elsewhere for the audience. And it starts another fire.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that's super cool. And then the fires converge and you get an even bigger fire with an even bigger and better idea.
Absolutely.
That's just really cool.
It's very cool,
it's
man.
Very cool.
Like, it's so funny you talking about like afterthoughts as well. And like adding things as afterthoughts.
But they can be so monumentally impactful.
Absolutely.
This piece of mine wouldn't be anything without the solo cello.
Yeah.
But I didn't even think of it in the moment. And that's probably happened to you a lot, right?
Genuinely, like, the amount of times that I sit down for a story, I don't sit down and be like, okay, so I have these plot points to hit.
Yeah, right.
And I have like a general idea, and then I kind of just go with it.
Well,
like
that's kind of how you have to do it.
Yeah, like I can't.
There's no script to follow because you're writing the script.
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. Yeah. I got some really great advice from a YouTuber like a while back talking about writing, where they were like, if you're having trouble writing a story, write it like a kid's book at first.
Yeah.
Like bare bones. Like obviously kids books can be very, very good.
Yes.
But usually when you're writing a kid's book, you have to get the information across like
quickly and simply.
Quickly and simply.
Yes.
Absolutely. So by doing that, that's how you make your plot points, and then you can go back in afterwards and fill in the blanks.
That's quite literally how I write nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I write my dialogue first.
Oh, really?
Because with my writing, dialogue is really important,
mm-hmm.
and I really like dialogue, not expositional dialogue,
right.
just dialogue.
Yeah.
Because
bad dialogue sticks out like a sore thumb.
Holy chips!
Yep.
I go back to my old writing, and I'm like, again, it's still all online, and I'm like, I should take this down, but I'm not gonna because I like I like being able to look at the evolution, but. Yeah. I write my dialogue first because I have no trouble writing, and I'm sure you don't. You clearly don't either, but I have no trouble writing dialogue that sounds normal because I like talking to myself.
Believe it or not, I hate writing dialogue,
really?
And I always feel like I do bad dialogue.
I just talk to myself. Yeah. I go, hey, what's up? Hey, how's it going? Something in this, and then the thought in my mind is just how would I respond to this?
Yeah.
And then, because that's how I would respond to it, is how a human being would.
Yes.
It's hard to write dialogue that makes it sound like it's not a robot and it's a human being.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of the times too, like something that I really encourage people to do when like we're talking about creative writing, like if I'm talking to one of my classmates or whatever, is read it out loud.
Holy shit! Absolutely.
Oh my god!
It makes such a difference.
Reading just now, Star Surfers out loud. I'm like, man, this dialogue could use some work because like a lot of it doesn't sound natural. It sounds like it doesn't. It sounds like two people are talking to each other, but are these actually what these people would be saying, or is there better ways to be doing it? And there's always that thought of like it could be better.
It's kind of, if you want my thoughts,
please.
It needs a better flow.
Yeah,
because it doesn't. Like I said, and this is just my impression, but. It kind of is. That's not what I would expect a person to say back to me.
Yes.
If I was talking to this person and someone said something like that to me, I'd be like,
"Yeah,
are you okay?
Are you having a stroke?"
Not in a bad way, but
no. I know what you. I absolutely know what you mean because I have that same criticism as I'm reading this. I'm gonna jump off that a little bit.
Mm.
Criticism.
Yeah,
I've learned, especially this year in my drama class, we did like kind of a workshop talking about like how to give good criticism.
The compliment sandwich.
Kind of, yeah. The way it was, I think it's called like Liz Lerman's Guide to Constructive Criticism or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Statements of meaning, which are typically your compliments, but it's kind of like, I found this to be really engaging.
Yeah.
I found this to be really effective at parts or whatever. You start with those.
Yes.
You get into, what was it? Questions for the performer.
Like things that you were kind of in your head, you were like, maybe I have a question about this.
Yes. You have a criticism, but form it as a question.
Right.
In terms of like, if you were like, oh man, I don't know why they were so quiet during this part. Like that doesn't make sense. It's like, so what was the choice to be so quiet in this part?
Right. That's you're getting the same result, but it almost takes the pressure off the performer.
Yes.
Off the artist.
Yeah.
Not off, but it changes it from being directly on their shoulders
mm-hmm.
to being next to them and they get to address it themselves.
Yeah, and it's so much better for somebody to address it rather than somebody be like, well, I thought that part sucked.
Yeah.
Like, or usually people don't do that, but like, I didn't, if it's usually when people say like, I didn't like this part. It's like, that does nothing.
Not only is that way too direct,
mm-hmm.
even if it wasn't, I don't like this part,
mm-hmm.
even if it was, I don't like this part because this. That's just you're just shitting on the guy.
Kinda, yeah. Like, and it's not really useful.
No, because there's a very stark difference between harsh criticism and constructive criticism. But they ride such a razor thin line.
Extremely, and like honestly, giving criticism is kind of a skill you need to hone.
Yeah.
Like in one of my classes this year, there was a guy that just didn't know how to give criticism properly. It always sounded so negative and so much like, I didn't really like this part. And I'm just like, bro, you can frame that in such a better way.
There's always going to be the counter argument there that you need to have thick skin, but I don't think it's that simple.
No, I don't think so either.
You're a creative. You need to have thick skin. But my counter argument to that would be you need to have the tact to say what you're trying to say without just shitting on somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't know, man. I think it's something that you very much like, especially if you're going to be talking about other people's art or whatever, or like just anything. Like, hey, yo, let's make sure that we do it properly.
Yes.
Yeah. That's just a little tangent I wanted to go on.
The tough part there being that what is proper is up to interpretation.
Absolutely.
But there's the general rules of thumb. Like, well, don't make people feel bad about what they did.
Genuine, like, it's not hard to be a good person, and like, it's not hard to not be a dickhead. Yeah. You know. So that's kind of my rule of thumb.
I just can't stand people that just have a thick skin. It's
but
like, what's wrong with you?
On the other hand, something that drove me nuts this year was like during our hello Ran, are we awake? What was,
No, I don't.
The workshops. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
During the workshops, when we would go person by person addressing a piece that was performed or like was read,
yeah,
it would be like the amount of people that'd be like, I really liked it.
That's it.
Yeah. And to the point where I'm like, that does nothing. Obviously nice sentiment.
Yeah.
But let's get a little more.
It's a creative workshop. You're there to get criticism. Yes. You're there to get the perspectives of other people so that you can grow and change your writing. Yeah.
There's nothing worse than just a bunch of people smiling and nodding at you.
Well, I'd rather have a bunch of people smiling and nodding at me than shitting on me. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, that was a vague comment.
No, you're still right.
Yeah.
Like principally.
Yeah.
I mean, I had something like that once in college where I had a final export of my final video project for Digital Video 2, which is a big class in year 2, and it was a big 7-minute long mini documentary that I produced all by myself, and I played it, and I was proud of it. I was very proud of it. But I was like, I'm looking for criticism, so I got my editing instructor and my acquisition instructor, who is the cinematographer. He's the like, acquisition of film, filming. And they were both next to me, and I played my doc for them, and they were like, they watched it, and they were enjoying it. And I finished, and I was like, okay, there it is. What do you guys think? And my instructors, who will remain nameless, of course, bless their hearts, they'll love them so much. But they're like, yeah, it's really good, like it. Awesome. I was like, okay, what should I change? Because I feel like I want criticism. And my acquisition instructor was like, no, it's really good. I really like it. Excellent work. I'm like, thanks, but come on.
Yeah, man.
Give me criticism. Shit on me a little bit.
Like, that's kind of my problem when I get a good grade sometimes, where I'm just like sometimes I'll get grades back without like any comment on it.
Yeah.
And it'll be like, I don't know, like an 85, 87. Even like a 90.
Even though that's a fantastic grade, it's not worth not having comments over.
Yeah, I'd love to know what didn't get me that 100.
How could I have gotten to a 95 or 98 or 100? Or, yeah. But therein lies another double-edged sword. God, this is we're just walking through a razor field.
Yeah.
You're always in pursuit of that, in air quotes, perfection.
Yeah.
Because always looking for criticism is very dangerous. You can just beat yourself into the earth if you're too
you would dig yourself such a hole
if you're too, what's the word I'm looking for, if you're too aggressive about it, if you're too
much of a perfectionist.
Sure, why not?
I know what you're saying.
If you're just constantly looking for criticism, even if you're looking for valid constructive criticism, sometimes you just need those little wins, which is a big thing.
100%, man. Like this semester I got a lot of wins this semester. Yeah. Which
I believe it
is great and genuinely like really helps with like the old imposter syndrome going on, where it's just like, well, you got a good mark, but that's because they went easy on you.
That's because you're wearing a nice shirt that day.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because they like you.
Dude, sometimes your brain will just make the weirdest shit up for imposter syndrome.
It's the fucking worst. But yeah, I got a lot of wins this semester, which is great.
Big dubs.
And to be honest, like I really needed those.
Yeah.
Because at some point you kind of just start to plateau in terms of like, well, I don't know if I'm getting better or if I'm getting worse.
Oh my!
I'm just doing
God, it's the
fine.
worst. Yeah.
But when people like, for example, my professor, I wrote an essay, like a term paper for my film class, and my professor was like, "Hey, you should either read this at the colloquium, or you should submit it for this prize award because this is a very good term paper."
Strugglers?
No,
Oh.
this was my film class.
Okay.
So a completely different thing.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I was like, wow, thank you, because that was the second piece that somebody was like, hey, you should submit this to the colloquium at least. And I was like, okay, great. But then, yeah, I had already decided to read Strugglers for the colloquium. And to be honest, Dan, I don't know if we're going to have time to read the Strugglers today.
I don't know. It depends on how long you have, but I'm totally okay going an hour and a half or even more on this podcast. Because I'm not concerned about the length of this episode.
I just didn't think we would get to this point. Like,
We're only 2 things in.
I know. Like,
You still have a long piece. And
and it's a long piece. We could do another one of these.
we could do another one of these.
I'd be so down to do another
I'd
one of these.
absolutely, yeah.
Especially like blocking out more time, because I was expecting this to be like an hour, maybe even less.
No, I for sure knew this was going longer than an
Shit,
hour.
my bad.
Absolutely.
My bad. Bad
Well,
time.
look how long we talked about my music, and then we spent like 20 minutes on your piece, and
Yeah.
then 20 minutes on my piece.
Yeah.
And it deserves more.
Yeah,
to be honest.
honestly, yeah. I 100% agree. Like, I think that I love having these conversations because I never get to have these conversations, because all other conversations when like I'm at work or anywhere else is such surface level. Like, yeah, I wrote a
show
piece.
are you watching?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you're not talking with other. Maybe I'm not going to say you're not talking with other creatives, but you're not talking with other creatives that
Get it?
get it or that go as far as you do.
Sure.
And not to I hate saying this, but
I know.
or as I do.
Yeah.
But
I never
into
wanted
their craft.
exactly, and I'm not like speaking from a place of like, well, I'm above everyone
No, of
else
course
in terms
not.
of like, you know
But
what I mean?
there's reality in that you write a lot better and more. It's not even about being better. It's that you write
More.
every day, pretty
No,
much.
no.
Oh.
Dan, here's the weird thing. Here's such a weird thing, man.
Yeah.
I can't write unless I have a deadline.
I feel like you've told me that before.
And it's so weird because like I excel at writing. It's something that
Yeah,
I
you
want
sure
to
do.
and like it's pulling teeth sometime, man. Like I wrote a screenplay over the summer just to get myself writing again.
Yeah.
And like it's a short screenplay. It's only like a 3-minute short film. But like
Were you like dragging yourself?
I basically had to be like, I have to do this because I need to write. I need to practice this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love school, because it forces me to write.
Yeah.
And it shows me that, oh man, you can write, you know? Anyway.
What I was going to say about the whole, like, let's do another one of these. This could be a segment
I'd be down for that.
because you are always writing
Mhm.
and I'm always writing music.
Yes.
So we're always going to have,
Content.
if a couple weeks goes by or a month goes by in between each one of these episodes, there's always going to be new content between you and I to talk about. And I think, I'll be honest, this episode's probably not going to do fantastic.
I think it might.
I hope it does.
I think it might because it's different.
Sure.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, I wouldn't be surprised, though. However, I don't care because this
Neither do I.
was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love this.
I like genuinely, I texted you about this and I was like, I want coffee shop vibes. Like I want you and I to bring a piece to a coffee shop and
Yeah.
like talk about it.
I just bring my Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, right.
Hey, listen to this. It just sounds like, dude, that piece would sound like shit on a little tiny
Totally.
speaker.
Yeah. But yeah, like even now, hear me out.
Okay.
This is an idea.
I'm listening.
We could record a batch of these at some point
Oh,
and like release them every other week.
we could, yeah.
So like we'd have the regular podcast, but then like every other Friday.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
That's like a sit down for 3 or 4 hours kind of
Yeah.
deal, though, which
Yeah.
I'd totally be for.
Yeah.
But that's up to you and your time schedule.
Totally. And like honestly, my schedule is finally gonna open up soon.
Whoa.
And I'm so excited.
Are you graduating this year?
News on that.
Oh.
I'm upgrading my degree from a regular 4-year English degree to a 4-year honors degree.
Ooh. Oh,
Yeah.
you know, high five.
Thanks, man.
For the audience.
Yeah, that was a high five.
Well, they heard it.
It's really exciting. My professor just like really encouraged me this year. Is like, hey, you're doing fantastic.
So how does that work? What does that do?
I
mean, obviously, it's a higher accolade.
I had the same question. So I sat down with a meeting with him yesterday, and I was just kind of like, so like, what's the advantage to doing an honors over a regular degree?
Being an honors student, yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, honestly, the only real thing, like tangible thing, is you could go for, what is it? I could basically turn that into teaching.
Oh.
So you can, like, you need an honors in order to be able to teach.
Oh, but you still need an educational degree, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you can't get an education degree without an honors degree?
Exactly.
In anything or specifically in writing?
You know what? I feel like I'm talking out of turn here.
I also feel like I'm asking a question that's way broader than what we're talking about.
It's, I'd have to look into it. I probably should have brought that up.
That's not something you should have an answer for right now.
Yeah. But basically.
Randy, can you answer this, and this? The super specific
Can you just get into that real quick?
Oh, that's fucking sick. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's really cool. And, like, it's only going to be one extra course that I need to take.
What is that?
Anything I want.
Oh.
But
Intro to the solar system. Just
right.
like, what the fuck?
I basically have to focus the rest of my courses that I need to do in the 400 level courses, which are the fourth years.
Yeah.
Which are the tough English courses. But I feel like I can do them. So. And if you asked me that a year ago, I probably would have said, no, I can't do that.
After reading Strugglers and Dishes, yeah, you're a fucking fantastic writer.
Sorry to tease that I was going to read Strugglers.
Oh, I'm so excited for the next one though, because I'm not just like gussing you up, because I really I want to read more of those characters.
Thanks, man.
Strugglers was amazing. Dishes was probably my favorite.
I thought you liked Strugglers more.
Strugglers was great because I liked, what's her name? I'm sorry. Allie. I really liked Allie.
Yeah.
But I really liked, I'm sorry, what's his name in Dishes?
Joe.
Joe. I really liked Joe.
Yeah.
And his this odd juxtapositional relationship with his brother.
Yeah.
And because dude, Dishes, we're just teasing the
audience. I know, I'm so sorry.
Dude, Dishes made me think, because I literally didn't know. I was like, who's wrong here? They're both wrong. Initially, of course, I'm like, what's the brother's name? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Terry.
Terry. And initially, I'm like, well, Terry's wrong.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking about it and relating it to my own life, and I was like, God, they're both wrong.
Yeah, man.
And that's cool.
I love that shit.
But not only are they both wrong, but they're both right.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
And it made me enjoy the characters a lot.
It's much more engaging when, like, it's not just like
black and white.
And Joe was a good guy all of his life, and he did everything right. Yeah. And, you know, like, nothing did him wrong.
Terry was an asshole.
You know, like, yeah.
It's like, no, Terry had his reasons for not inviting him to the dinner. That's what it was, right? Yeah. And that's what made it so odd, because it was so gray. The decisions in that story, dude, we're just teasing the audience.
I'm so sorry.
The decision in that story was so morally gray.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so interesting. And I really liked it. And I enjoy that they're sister pieces. They're sister stories. Yeah. So
I can't wait for this whole story sequence to be complete.
I was gonna say, are you writing more in this?
I'm writing one more.
Write more than one more.
It's basically going to be 4 stories, each one from different perspectives.
Awesome.
And I think it's working out really, really well. I'm only on page 3 of my last story, but
you're gonna kill it.
Yeah,
because Strugglers and Dishes were both amazing. So.
Thanks, man.
I think I liked Strugglers more in terms of like reading and like as a story, but I really like the character. Joe and Terry in Dishes were fucking phenomenal characters.
Thanks.
So, amazing.
Thanks. Dan.
Yeah.
I can't wait to listen to more of your music, especially on the podcast, so that we can talk about it and we can discuss it and we can have this director's commentary.
It's higher quality here too.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Very high quality.
So
I played that piece on my speaker to my dad. And it just sounded like dick. The strings came in and it was just. I was like, trust me, it sounds good.
Let me get you my headphones.
Yeah, and he was like, ugh. No.
But
I think we should absolutely turn this into a segment.
I'd love to. Let's make that a summer project.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm down for that. In this hot booth in the summer.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I'm okay right now.
Yeah,
but I don't have my jacket on. So.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we could do another one of your pieces if you want, because I'm super down for that. Because they won't be as long as a 15-minute piece that I could read.
We could. This is kind of almost like a trial episode.
Yeah.
We'll have a better structure. We should do a structure for this. Like have a document.
Genuinely, like this is going, I don't know if this is still in the podcast, but like this is going really well to the point where I'm like, I kind of want to keep doing this.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Yeah.
All right. Randy has decided we're going to do another piece of my music.
Yeah.
I don't have another piece of my music. Oh, what have I done? I'm breaking things.
Oh, no.
So this is a piece. It's called The Snow is Cold, But You Make Me Feel Warm.
Okay.
And I think you'll get the vibe immediately. But I was playing prior to writing this piece, I had just finished a playthrough of a very good game. I think you'll figure it out real fast.
Okay. I'm excited.
But this piece is about. You'll figure it out real fast.
Okay.
I feel like. Okay, so this piece is, well, the name gives it away. The snow is cold, but you make me feel warm. Here we go. What game is this?
I'm assuming Stardew Valley.
It's Stardew Valley.
Yeah. What would you call that? Sorry.
No, what?
What would you call that? Like, it's almost like the bottom of a bowl.
It's I don't know.
I don't know.
This is a short piece. And then the wind fades out.
Yeah.
That's a short piece, like I said.
Yeah.
But
Man, you're so, like, it's wild that, like, Stardew Valley has such a distinct...
well, because you immediately were, I was like, you're going to get what game this is. And I played it in 3 seconds and you're like, Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
No, that's what it was.
There's something about that instrument that we don't know the name of that, like, like it's so unique to Stardew somehow.
Yeah. Well, because Eric Baroni is the guy.
Okay.
He uses it a lot in that.
Yeah.
So he uses it a lot in the winter tracks.
Mhm.
And when I finished the playthrough, I had finished it in the month of winter.
Yeah.
And I actually very vividly remember I was just down below Jody's house, and I was at the river, and I was fishing in the river, and it was like 12 p.m. at night, and I was just listening to the soundtrack, and I was fishing, and I was like, this is really nice. This is really peaceful. I love this game. And I closed it, and I wrote that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because it was like Stardew gave me the spark of that piece.
Do you ever have the problem of, like, flying too close to the sun when it comes to inspiration? Like, in terms of, like, when you get too close to the source material?
Actually, it's pretty funny that you mentioned that. Absolutely. Because if we go back... hold on. For the audience at home, I'm on the laptop again. If we go back to my FL folder, I have a folder called Accidental Remakes.
Okay.
There's not many in there, but it's times where I've gotten inspiration and then written a piece of music, and I would go... oh, this is just another piece of music. Like in this folder, I've accidentally rewritten the DreamWorks theme. And I was writing, and I was like, these big long strings, they're so pretty. And then I listened back to it, and I was like, oh, it's literally just a dream. I pitched it down a couple tones, and I was like, it's the DreamWorks theme in a different key.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can't write that anymore. And I accidentally rewrote Imagine by John Lennon in a different key.
Yeah.
Because that's a simple song. So I was like, this is so pretty. And I'm like,
damn it.
God damn it. It's just Imagine.
Isn't it wild that, like, I talked about this in one of my classes like a year ago or maybe two, where I think there's a name for it, but it's basically like, will we hit a point where nothing can be original anymore? And, like, honestly, nothing is original.
There's a Vsauce video on that.
Oh, okay.
The answer is no.
No.
The answer is no, sorry.
No, like, it's just, like, but, like, you have to take inspiration from something.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I can't write my stories without taking inspiration from my family, taking inspiration from my lived experiences.
Well, the thing about that is, and you're right, the thing about that is inspiration from different things doesn't typically extend past a 3 or 4 instances of itself. As in, I'm sure there have been cases in history where people have been like, oh, I'm inspired from this, which is inspired from this, which is, of course, that's how the evolution of music genres work. But on that scale, you're talking about the evolution of a genre as a whole, as opposed to individual pieces.
Yeah.
And I don't think the answer to that is yes. I don't think we're going to run out of originality.
No.
That would require humans to not exist.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because we are originality. That's the whole point of us. We're all different.
Yeah.
So as long as there are new people having new life experiences, we're not going to run out of originality anytime soon is my point.
And I think it's super cool because, like, a lot of the times when I asked my professor about that question, he was kind of like, well, with the world constantly changing, I know it doesn't seem like the world's constantly changing, but it is.
Oh,
like, especially with technology.
Well, because we're so focused on today or next week
that we don't take a step back and go through our folders and look back to what it was when we were like 10 years ago.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Or you don't think about 5 years ago or 10 years ago. Because so much has changed in 10 years.
Yeah, but you don't really think about it.
Because you don't. No. This period.
Because we're thinking about today. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, because you kind of have to.
Yeah.
But it's good to every once in a while take a step back and either through your own creative process look at your past works or look back in history and see what. I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
I was about to say we should just turn these into like talking about our pieces, but also philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand.
They kind of do. Yeah.
Well, there's philosophical meaning behind every single one of my pieces, and there's philosophical meaning behind every single one of your works of writing.
Yeah. So with this piece?
Yeah.
Was there like sometimes when I'm writing a piece, I'm very much like, I want the theme to be this.
Yes.
With my short story sequence that I'm doing right now, each story has to do with something with connection.
Right.
Disconnection, reconnection, like denial of connection.
Yeah. Missed connection.
Yeah. But like, is there kind of like a theme guiding you sometimes?
With this specific piece or in general?
This piece, and then if not, in general.
I can do this piece. Yeah. Well, the theme this time was, I hope, obvious.
Kind of like
it was snow. It was winter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was.
I was gonna say melancholic, kind of.
Well, it is interesting.
Melancholic is sad, but like.
Well, not necessarily. Melancholic is bittersweet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think winter can be bittersweet.
I think winter is bittersweet. I don't know. Do you not get?
I do get the winter.
An immediate winter vibe
Absolutely.
from that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well,
wind and sleigh bells.
Half of that has to do with the wind in the background. Because the wind is there throughout the whole piece. If I jump forward a bit, even when the instruments are loud, the wind is still there.
Yeah.
You can hear it. So, but there's something about these notes in specific that convey a cold theme, but not a sad theme, at least in my opinion. Because I don't think of this piece as actually. It's kind of interesting. This piece gives me a very odd. I'm going to jump in the piece. This piece gives me a very odd feeling of juxtaposition because this piece is about cold things, but it makes me feel warm.
Yeah, and I guess that's
the title. Yeah. The snow is cold, but you make me feel warm. Yeah. So it wasn't. This piece isn't entirely about snow. It's about or winter or cold or That's too surface level. It's about. It's almost about love in a way.
Yeah.
Because cold and warm and snow and they're all great metaphors for love.
Yeah.
And even for hypothetically in this piece, even though it's winter and it's cold and it's shitty outside, I have you, and I'm not talking to you. I just mean whoever. I have you, Randy.
Oh, good.
I have you, and it. Even though things are not great right now, you take the perspective. You take it and flip it and make me happy. And that's what this is about. And although to answer your question, I wasn't thinking about that when I was writing the piece.
Okay.
The thematics of the piece evolve as I'm writing the piece. Sometimes there are pieces where I have a theme in mind and I'm like, yes, I want to write about this. Yeah. But not often.
No.
It kind of is like this where it evolves.
It goes back to that thing where we were talking about the sparks halfway through. Or like a quarter of the way through. Or like at some point where it's just like, oh, what if... And even by the end of it, it's like, oh, it's as if you're making a painting. And then by the end of it, you take a step back. It's like, oh, I made this. Yeah. That's not what I went out to make.
Well, because you're so focused on little things. It's the same thing when you're writing music. It's so easy to get lost in trying to perfect each and every individual little sound.
Yeah.
But until you take a step back metaphorically and listen to the piece, or with writing, until you take a step back and read it out loud.
Yep.
Or with painting, you take a literal step back and look at the work as a whole.
Yeah.
Your perspective can change like that.
Totally.
And that's usually a good thing.
Usually,
yeah. I mean, I don't get many creative sparks where it's like, oh, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, you need to have that strong motivating factor. Otherwise, why do it in the first place?
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about your piece, Dan. I love it.
That one's a simple one.
Yeah, and like sometimes there's that's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to have that simplicity going on.
Yeah.
Where like, it's almost like the short story.
Yeah.
Where it's very much like you don't really have the constraint. You can make it as long as you want, but you cut it off at a point where it feels natural. And
however, double-edged sword, you could loop that so easy.
Oh yeah.
And just have it play in the background a little quieter. And it wouldn't I mean, it might get repetitive if you listen to it for an hour, but
I think you would genuinely, like, with the pieces that you've shown me, I think you would be a fantastic video game composer.
thanks.
Because, like, okay, picture this. Snow World.
Sicily, 1936.
No.
All right, sorry.
Like a Paper Mario game.
Yeah.
Where you're walking around in the snow world or whatever. And as you're walking around, like you have that kind of like that music looping in the background.
Yeah.
It just fits. It works.
It's almost background music, this piece.
Yeah. Which is not a detriment.
No, of course not.
No.
Well, because you need that,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. This one was fun.
Yeah. How long ago did you make that one?
That was a while.
Yeah.
I can look at when the export was. I don't even know. God, was it? No. I'm breaking things.
Nah.
I'm pulling things apart and putting them back together, but in the wrong order. And stop.
Damn it.
No. That was. Oh, I gotta right-click the file. Why you asked this question, Randy?
Sorry.
We also don't have a mouse. That was the 23rd day of the 8th month, September
Okay.
of last year.
Oh, nice.
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
We're 8 months or whatever. So
Were you thinking about snow?
yes, I
Like
was.
the
Well, I was
oncoming
thinking
snow.
about Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
And then the coming of snow, and but
Yeah. That's cool, man.
thank you.
I love how we kind of just listened to the entire thing as you were looking that up, and I was just like,
Well, it just fades away.
Yeah.
But it stays there.
Yeah.
In your head.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
it's almost as if it kind of just sneaks away and you don't really notice it until it's actually
until it's gone, and then it's wow. It's gone now.
kind of like winter. Wow.
Be gone, thought.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so nice. I would like that.
Right. I'm wearing my not boots for once.
Yeah.
Well, they're still boots, but they're not winter boots.
I'm not wearing my coat anymore.
Yeah, I'm not wearing long johns.
Yeah. It's nice.
Big win.
Big win.
Everyone in America, like, what the hell are long?
Who's John?
Why are you so long? Boom, double joke. Okay.
Nice.
This is a great episode. Let's do more of
Dan,
these.
let's do more of these.
Yeah.
We'll shake on it right now.
Oh, we're shaking right now. You can't shake it all up.
Shake it all up.
Shake and also rock and roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
All three of those.
All the time. Thank you so much for joining me on this.
Thank you for having me.
I know it's kind of like a vulnerable thing to show your stuff out there.
I'm more comfortable now, though.
Good.
I don't know about you, but
I am too.
At the start, I was like, "Oh, I'm nervous."
Yeah, I didn't like it.
It kind of because you and I get lost in the conversation so easily. Because you and I have conversations really easily.
Yeah.
I forget that we're recording.
Yeah. Honestly.
And now that I'm reminded of it, I'm nervous again. No.
And I guarantee if like somebody else was in the booth for something like this, I would get that nervousness again. You know what I mean?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because then you don't know what they're gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're confident in your work, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I'm confident in my music.
Mm.
I know it's good, like objectively. However, you're showing it to other people.
And they might, and everybody's got their opinion, bro. You know? Like something might be, nothing can be objectively, like universally good.
Of course.
Everybody, I don't know. People love Beethoven. Some people don't love Beethoven. You know what I mean? Like there's always like the preference and stuff like that. But I feel like I'm rambling.
I love that when he rolled over.
What?
Roll Over Beethoven. It's a rock and roll song.
Ah, shit. Sorry. Okay, my bad.
Had to be there in the 50s.
Yeah, I missed out on that.
Yeah, you weren't born yet.
Neither were you.
Yeah, it turns out I'm 97 years old.
Wait a minute.
Hello. My real voice
Bernie.
comes out. Oh, no. End it.
We gotta cut this up.
Because we're already in an hour 20.
Thank you so much for listening to this. If you've gotten to this point, I really, really appreciate it.
If you've gotten to this point, what the hell's wrong with you?
You know what? This was an experiment, and I really, really wanted to try it. And genuinely, I think it turned out really, really well.
Me too.
This and like some of the other podcasts that we've done will stick out of my mind as things that I'm like, man, I'm really proud of these ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do more of these. So.
Yeah. Let's do it.
This is the last episode we ever produced before we all died in a car accident.
Guarantee next episode I will read Strugglers. How about that?
Yeah.
I will promise that right.
Because I want that.
All right. Hell yeah.
Epic.
L'Epic. It's French. L'Epic.
Les Epic.
Yeah.
Les Epic Games.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to the Creation Nation Makerspace. And thank you to Daniel Mosionier for editing and creating the music that we've heard today.
Wow.
As well as the music that we're hearing for the intro and outro.
Wow.
We'll be back in 2 weeks for the next episode. and we will see you then.
It'll be about something.
I haven't decided yet, but we'll see. Okay, see you.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Stupid. That was Lily's Shop. I'm surprised you remember that.
Dude, the amount of times you played that song, we were fucking...